It was a health and safety hazard, I would say, in hindsight. So it just felt like a fun journey to mention. We also had a baby. Still remember Josh coming down the stairs with his little glass jars. At the time it felt normal, but now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, what did we do?
Welcome to the Great Women Podcast. I'm Ollie.
And I'm Franny. Today we're joined by Lisa Puddle, co-founder of MOMO Kombucha, the small batch jar brewed kombucha brand that's won fans across the UK. Lisa started MOMO in 2018 with her husband Josh, brewing their first batches in their London home.
Fast forward a few years, and MOMO is stocked in the likes of Gales and Selfridges and is proudly B Corp certified with the highest score globally for any kombucha brand. Lisa made the bold leap from fashion marketing at Net-a-Porter to fermented tea, building a business that is as values-driven as it is successful.
And today we'll explore her journey, from a big career change to starting her own business, working with her spouse, creating a purpose-led culture that supports numerous charities and women in business. Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's great to have you. I think we just want to start by you telling us a little bit about the beginnings of MOMO and why you started a kombucha business.
Yeah. So I was always really into healthy living. I was never a big drinker, mainly because it just doesn't agree with me. So whenever I went to the pub, I would have water, maybe sparkling water with lime and soda, something quite boring. And one day I found out about gut health and the importance of it. And they mentioned kombucha as part of that. And then we happened to be in New York, Josh and I, and kombucha over there was really big. There were fridges and supermarkets, dedicated kombucha fridges. It was really everywhere. And we tried it and we fell in love with it. I just loved the taste of it. I've never really tasted anything like it before. And I loved the fact that it was good for you. So then when we came home, we looked for kombucha. We couldn't really find it. This is probably 8 years ago. It really wasn't that big in the UK then. And we started brewing our own. And then I sort of thought, hold on, if it's like we love it, it's big in America, it's bound to come over to Europe and the UK as well. And that's sort of where the idea was, starting from.
In terms of your kind of, I suppose, interest in gut health and things like that, remind us, had Tim Spector sort of got going on his quest to educate us all, or was it really something that was more kind of US driven and they were the kind of pioneers in that field, as it were?
Yeah, well, Tim, maybe he had, but I hadn't heard of Tim until probably 3 years into starting Momo. But I obviously read all these women magazines and, listening to news articles, and they started talking about gut health. But it really was a very novel idea. It was really groundbreaking back then. Whereas now I feel like it is quite common and people do know that it's important to look after your gut health. Back then it was really a new thing.
Can you tell us about how you came to the name MOMO?
MOMO, it was really hard to think of a good name. We came up with some really horrible names in hindsight. Batch was one of them. So it was really hard. But one day I was sitting right here in the living room and I was sort of looking up on my bookshelf. And one of the books that I kept from my childhood was MOMO by Michael Ende. It's a German author. And I looked at it and I thought, I love that book. The book is sort of about this girl, Momo, which is basically a homeless child in that book. But she goes around reminding adults and children to take time for the things that are important in life, to not go around rushing and just trying to save time. And I thought, hold on, that could really work. I liked the name Momo, the symmetry of it and the sound of it, but also the message of the book. So I mentioned it to Josh and he loved it. And we were like, yeah, I think that could work.
That's a great reason. It's a lovely name. How did your colleagues react when you said, right, I'm done with fashion, I'm going to give this a go?
Obviously people were surprised, but what really sticks out were the people that really supported us from the beginning and were excited. I remember actually, I was still working at Net-a-Porter when we thought about the branding. And I remember taking it in and asking people secretly for their advice, which one they would prefer. And I also really remember people supporting us from the beginning, like Josh's cousin Harry or his sister Lucy being our first customer. So there were people who were generally excited and really believed in us, and that was a really nice feeling. But obviously some people thought we were absolutely crazy. It is quite a big, like in hindsight, it is actually quite a big step, but it really didn't feel like that at the time. We just always thought, we worked in fashion, or Josh in banking, for 10 years plus. We just thought if it doesn't work out, we can always go back to our old careers.
Yeah.
So it just felt like a fun journey to embark on.
So you talked about how you, when you were shaping the brand, you kind of went, and you were still at Net-a-Porter, you went and sort of showed people some of the ideas you had. But how, in other ways, did you have a real kind of direction? Did you have a vision of what you wanted it to be like?
No, it really, from the beginning, we thought, okay, if we're going to do this, let's produce the UK's highest quality and best tasting kombucha, because we simply thought if it tastes really good, our chances of success are so much higher. So the idea of producing a really high quality product was there from the beginning, and we still follow that same ethos now. And that really also had to do with Net-a-Porter, because it was obviously a premium product, and I could really see, how people like a premium product and how successful Net-a-Porter was. And Net-a-Porter was a disruptor at the time. Like, no one believed that you could sell luxury fashion online, and they did it. So yeah, it almost felt like Net-a-Porter obviously wasn't a startup anymore when I worked there, but you could still feel, even though there were thousands of people working there, that sort of startup ethos, the disruptor ethos, sort of.
From one disruptor to the next disruptor. Fantastic. You said you had that kind of security blanket of being able to go back to your old jobs if it kind of didn't work out. But I also think it's really important to talk about some of the kind of big, bold decisions you did have to take. For example, you've talked about the fact that you had to remortgage your house and self-fund the first year. What did those first months and that first year look like? So much was on the line, as it were.
Well, we didn't actually remortgage our house. It was that when we mortgaged our house, we took out an extra chunk, which was actually Josh's idea, because we knew we would potentially start a business. We didn't know it was going to be MOMO, but money was quite cheap at the time, and we just thought it's good to have it just in case. But yeah, when we then did quit our jobs, we didn't have an income. It was quite tough, but it was also really exciting to create something new. So it was a bit of both.
And looking back to that sort of beginning time, were there any particularly challenging moments or moments that stick out to you now?
I mean, we started it from home. We had 5 extra fridges in the kitchen. We converted one of the bedrooms into a fermentation room. And I forgot to mention, we also had a baby. She was, I think, 8 months old when we started brewing from home. And I mean, I literally visually still remember Josh coming down the stairs with his little glass jars, one by one, carrying each kombucha jar down so we could bottle it. And our bottling line was Josh and I. It was literally an Analmatic. I don't know if anyone knows that from making their own juice at home. It's like a little granny thing that takes ages to fill up, and then you pass it on, and then you cap it by hand. Everything was so manual. And I mean, it was a health and safety hazard, I would say, in hindsight, especially with the toddler walking around, because we would have all the kombucha in the kitchen then, being ready for send out. She would learn to walk in that brewery kitchen, herself up on the crate. I mean, it was, at the time it felt normal, but now looking back, looking at those pictures, I'm like, oh my God, what did we do? But it was also great, because very quickly we started getting into local delis and local cafes, and it sold well. So people kept coming back for it, and that sort of gave us the confidence to continue. And very quickly, luckily, we then moved into a brewery at New Covent Garden Market, which felt nice to have the house back and make it more official. But that was also a way to just test the market and save money at the beginning rather than going all in, producing it from home at the beginning.
And did you have to, well, I know you've raised loads of capital, but that first round of capital raising, particularly given that the UK kombucha market was so nascent. Was it really hard to get the first investor? Was it a bit of a case of once you've got one and you can say, oh, by the way, such and such has given us some capital, and then does everyone else follow? How does that work?
It's quite funny, actually. I guess with raising money, you can go two ways. You can either raise a little bit from loads of people, like a crowd fund, or you can get a big chunk from one person. And we sort of went with the latter, but it was almost a coincidence because Josh at the time was looking for a mentor, and he was chatting to this guy on LinkedIn, and he met up with him, and he sort of told him all the reasons why he was worried about Momo. And then he asked him if we could look over the pitch deck before we would send it out. And that guy was Jess Coles. And he then turned around saying he would like to invest. So he did the whole round. And that was really unexpected and such a confidence boost. And it really, I mean, the oxygen it gave to our to our whole project was, you can't even imagine it. It was just so nice to see that people actually believed in our idea. And he's actually still an investor, and he's about to become the investor director for Momo.
Wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, it must have been amazing just to have that external sort of confidence.
Yeah, so that was really good. But it's always hard to raise money. And I feel like the more money you need to raise, the harder it gets. And obviously the economy has been going, it's been tough for people. So it's been hard to find money. But yeah, people have believed in us. And we're also really lucky because a lot of our investors are actually our top customers. So out of our top 5 customers, 4 are investors.
Amazing.
And that makes it so much easier if people are, obviously enjoying the product, are really behind it. You don't have to sell it that hard. And that's also, it's just nice to have those people on board. It's also really important to sort of choose your investors, because they obviously then have an impact on how you do business, or some want to have more of an impact and want to influence how you do business, as others just think you know best and you've been doing it in this way. That's obviously worked, so you just go on and do what you do. And we've been really lucky with our investors.
Are they in the hands-on camp, or are they in the you guys know what you're doing?
Definitely in the latter. We generally have been doing what we promised we do. And I think that's why they also have the confidence in us. And, they often reinvest whenever we do a new funding round. So, yeah, we have been really lucky with our investors.
One of the things that's interesting about Momo is that it's a husband and wife team. What are the main advantages of running a startup or a business with your husband? Start with the good things first.
Yes. I mean, running a startup is obviously a huge adventure. And to do that with the person you love is such a privilege. And I feel like Josh and I, we've got very complementary skills, i.e. very opposing. We're very different people. He's obviously come from a banking background, and me more creative. And I think that is the key, to not step on each other's toes. Like he wouldn't tell me what to do in marketing, or maybe he has an opinion, but he sort of knows that is sort of my remit. And I wouldn't tell him how to do investor relations, which he's very good at. And, all the numbers in general, he's very good with that. So I feel like, yeah, we've been very lucky that we have complementary skills. But I mean, of course, as with any relationship, it's not always easy. And I feel like sometimes you're, I guess, most direct with the people you love. Whereas if you had a boss, or if you work with someone in an office, you wouldn't just be like, why have you not responded to that email? And you wouldn't bring it up at bedtime. But, when it's your husband or when it's your wife, you do bring up things just before you go to bed. Because that's sort of when I stop doing everything and things come up, and I would just bring up things. And he was like, it's 10 o'clock. Why are we talking about this now? Ups and downs, but mostly ups. I really have to say, it is such a privilege, and we are all in, and it's sort of so nice not to create a business together, but also the family around it. It's just been, yeah. I mean, Josh it's such a cliche, but he really is my person, and he is like my best friend. So it is such a privilege to do this with Josh.
Well, he's very lucky to have you, Lisa, as well.
Very lucky to have him. But also it just gives us this flexibility with childcare. Like I said, we've got 3 kids now, and I keep thinking, if I had been in my old job, I would never see them, because I would come home late, I would have to leave early. And it's so nice to have your own business where you obviously know that you're working, but you can just do it at a time that suits you. So
Yeah.
that's been really nice.
And when you have your own business and a family with 3 children, you're probably juggling an awful lot. And I suppose you also have to keep a passion for the business, but also for everything else in your life. What keeps you going? How do you keep on going?
I mean, there's no lack of motivation. We are all in. Like this is it. And we love Momo. It's like our fourth child, basically. So there's no one needs to motivate us. I do have to say, like you said, with having 3 children and working a startup, we just turned 7, probably 5 years in, and having 2 kids and working all the time. There really isn't really a now I'm working, now I'm off. And when I'm off, I don't think about the business. It really is working all the time, either on Momo or being with the children or cooking or, doing the general laundry, the house, like everything. That it was just so full on that I think 2 Christmases ago, I actually felt really burned out. Christmas is for any mom, I think, out there, it's such a busy period anyway. The presents, I do this advent calendar, 2 advent calendars where they get a present every day. And then for school, you always have to remember tombola gift. Then you have to remember to wear green socks on Friday. I don't know, there's just always so much, this mental load on top of everything else. And then planning the Christmas photo shoot by January, all of this, I felt so burned out that I actually thought that was not the reason why I started a business, to feel so burned out and so tired and stressed all the time, that I actually decided to step back. And I think it was actually for the benefit of the business, because we were at the time at the business where we could afford to hire more people. And we replaced my job with a social media manager and now also a senior brand manager. And I feel like, yes, no wonder I felt burned out, because it was a lot for one person doing it basically part-time, because I still picked up the kids every day at 3. So it was really full on. And I really felt like it was the best for everyone, for the family and for the business, for me to step back a little bit, which has been really nice.
Sometimes those
I think
decisions are the bravest ones too, when you
Yeah.
have to admit that it's too much.
the very fact that your job was replaced by 2 people and you're still working just shows how much you were doing at the same time as having the
Yeah.
3 children and everything else. And it just, yeah, that I completely agree with what Ollie said. It's the bravest decision to actually step back and to have that kind of objectivity as well.
But it was hard because Momo is our baby, and it really felt like, can I do this? Like, am I sort of giving up? But now in hindsight, I really can see that I did the right thing, and it wasn't giving up. It was really, just making it work, because there's only so much you can do.
And I expect there was a rigorous interview process for those 2 roles.
Yeah, but when we met the right person, also Matt, we just knew he was the right person. And the same with Harley, who is our senior brand manager. We are really so lucky with our team. We have got such an amazing team, and yeah, we're very proud of them.
That's one of the things that really comes across when I've been looking at a Momo. It just seems like there's a real heart and soul, at the center of it. And can you talk about some of your kind of workplace ethics and things that you do to make it such a amazing place to work, by the sounds of it? And that was a big reason probably why, or definitely why, you scored such a high score in the B Corp.
Yeah. I mean, gratitude is one of our core values. But like I said, so grateful for our team, but also for our customers. Gratefulness is just one of our core values. But we're also really lucky because our first ever hire, Matt, who took over the production, is still our head of production now. And in the early years, whenever it was a bottling day, which we only had one a week back then, he would ask friends and old colleagues to come and help. And many of them are now full time. That really informed the culture as well. The fact that a lot of the people who work with us are Matt's friends or old colleagues. But yeah, we really do want to create a nice place to work at. We know that everyone needs a work-life balance, that everyone has a life outside work. We want to have flexible working hours. Like the hours are not crazy. Like on Fridays, we finish at 3, and we really try to make it a nice place to work. Like we've got team lunches, all the usual things. But it is, it's really important to us to do business in that way.
Having worked in some places that don't have the most amazing work cultures, I think it's really important. But I also think that the emphasis that you place on it and the importance you put on it is to be admired, because lots of people don't value it as much. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, I almost couldn't imagine working in another way because it feels like a baby. Like you want to treat others like you want to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely. And sort of changing tack slightly, Momo is part of the Ocado by Women Built partnership. Can you explain what that is? And also, you do give quite a bit of money to charity as a business, the importance of all those charities, but maybe just pick a couple or something.
Well, Buy Women Build is an amazing initiative that supports women-led businesses, and they managed to get an aisle on Ocado, which is really big and it's amazing. And we are part of that aisle. And it really encourages people to buy from women-owned businesses, which has so many benefits. Not only do women-owned businesses often face like more barriers when it comes to funding or visibility. So buying from women-led businesses on Ocado, for example, really gives these businesses visibility, but also obviously profit. And the fact is, if you do support women-led businesses, they then put that money back into communities. So it's really important. And obviously, I'm not just saying that because I am a woman, but it is so important to support women-led businesses because they really are at a disadvantage. I'm not sure why they get funded less. I don't know if there's less trust in women, even though they are proven to be actually better leaders, business leaders. But, it is still a problem. And the charities that we support, there are quite a few, but one that we have been supporting for a long time and we do in a regular business is a breast cancer charity. And that is really a topic that's quite close to my heart because my mom had breast cancer when I was in my 20s, and that was quite a shock. Yeah, for many reasons, just to sort of suddenly realize that your mom might not be there one day and probably, will die eventually, but that it can come around quite quickly. But also seeing her going through that journey, she was quite young. She was only in her 40s. It was quite tough when it was actually Melissa Hemsley who was an ambassador for that charity. And she mentioned it to us. And we were just about to launch our raspberry hibiscus flavor. And we decided to give 5p from every bottle sold to Future Dreams, which is the breast cancer charity. And it just felt like the right thing to do.
I think is it the only dedicated breast cancer support centre in the UK?
Yes. They've got this amazing house where they support women who, as they said, have been touched by breast cancer. So they've got bra fittings there, they've got nutritional advice, they've got wig fittings, they do yoga, sound bars, all sorts of things that might help you just go through that journey and might just improve it slightly.
Is there a local farm charity?
There's a farm fund. Okay, so we do a lot of seasonal kombuchas with Natura, and for every seasonal kombucha, we support a Natura farm fund who support farmers who farm in the right way, in a sustainable way. And farming in this country is very difficult to make money from, and especially if you do it in a sustainable way. Yes, they need all the support they can.
And in terms of kind of the seasonal kombuchas and things like that, I suppose what's next for Momo? Are there new flavors, new markets, new ideas? I totally take the point that you made when we first started talking about the drinks in pubs. I don't like fizzy drinks, so I'm like you, lime and soda, fizzy water, and I really want to see kombucha in the pubs.
So do I really do. It would be great, and that is definitely part of our plan for the future, to get into more pubs, maybe get on tap. We're definitely working on more seasonal kombuchas. I can't really give anything away, but our brewers, they're always working on something, and that is really the bit that I think they really enjoy, because that's where you can be creative and really get the flavors and the balance right. And yeah, they're very good at creating those seasonal kombuchas. They seem to be very popular, and I know I always look forward to them. It's just quite nice to have that newness, and they're always amazing flavors. So we definitely have some seasonal kombuchas. But in terms of what's happening now for Momo is At the moment, we've outgrown our brewery and we're really looking to move into a bigger space. Ideally, at the moment, the production team and the marketing team are quite separate at the moment. So ideally, we'd move into a bigger space where everyone sits together. And that's really our challenge at the moment. And I think we hopefully have found something, but I really hope it goes through. Because we're looking at a space in literally around the corner from our house. But it would also be nice to bring the brewery back to Southeast London, sort of where it started. And the spot would be really nice. And yeah, so we're in the process of just getting that finalized, hopefully.
With that, I mean, you say you need to move to a new premise, but do you need to expand your workforce as well? Is it a question of sort of getting bigger in every way?
Well, the thing is that we need more space to produce more. Because we are, even though Momo is doing really well, we're still not profitable. We're quite close, but in order to get to profitability, we just have to scale up even more. And I mean, the production team have done amazing, because in the first year when Matt joined, we would bottle maybe 400 bottles per week. And now it's up to 60,000 bottles per week. So it really is like a whole different level. They've been doing such an incredible job. And we just got a new bottling line, which means we can actually now produce even more. But we need more space because we need fridge space. We obviously need a bigger fermentation room. There is more kombucha to literally bottle. So we just need more space. That has really always been our problem. Because of the way we produce, we need a lot of space.
And when you move, just out of curiosity, will you take the original SCOBY?
The SCOBY, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if anyone can pinpoint which one is the original, because, it just grows and then it moves, and, it's just in every
It's a living
batch.
entity.
So it's a living entity, exactly. Yeah, it's not like a grandma just sitting in the corner watching her children.
It hasn't been named yet.
Exactly, it's got no name. It's not like on a little pedestal. It's just in every bottle, basically. But also, that we brew, there are always some scobies forming, but what we actually use to brew kombucha is starter culture, which is basically just a very strong kombucha. Every bottle, you just put the starter culture in it, and then the SCOBY, the pellicle, forms on the top of it.
Okay.
And how long does it take from day one to the day I can drink it? How long does that process take?
It's fermented for around 10 days.
How long does it last? I mean, can you export it? I mean, is that in your big vision?
Sure. I think one day we will export it and become a global brand. But at the moment, we're not quite there yet. There's still so much to do in the UK. Mm-hmm. So we're not looking to export it yet. And also because our kombucha is chilled, because it's a properly fermented kombucha, we'd have to look into ways to export a chilled product, which is possible. It's just much more difficult. And I'm sure we will do it one day, but for now, there's still a lot to be gained in the UK.
Well, whilst you slowly conquer the UK market, we'll be watching on the sidelines. We ask this question of everyone because we're always curious as to the answer. So if you could have one Momo, we're going to say today, with any great woman, who would that be and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I'm going to have to go with Michelle Obama. Maybe that's quite cliched, but she, to me, is just, an incredible woman, not just for being the first Black First Lady. And I can only imagine what that must feel like, moving into a house that's been built by slaves, and also the responsibility of being the first Black First Lady and the expectations that everyone has upon you. But to me, she's just like this picture of resilience and intelligence and grace. And I would love to chat with her about all sorts of things, including parenting, because she obviously has 2 girls, and I feel like there's a lot I could learn from her.
I think she's great. I've just heard her, being really funny. She was talking about going to some sports match, and she was there, and then I think it was Biden was there, and the intimidation kind of effect that she had on people, but she kind of didn't really want to have it. It was just they were doing kind of normal mum stuff.
Yeah, she's such an inspiration, especially for, I think, girls of color. I feel like when I was young, if I had known about her, or if she had been the first lady then, it would have felt amazing to see someone like me in such a position of power, which when I grew up, especially in Germany, it wasn't really the case. So yeah, I feel like she's such an inspiration.
That sort of leads me to the last question I like to ask, which is looking back at your younger self. If you could give that person a piece of advice, what would it be?
I think I would probably tell her what I try to tell my girls already now. I think it would be that you are enough, just how you are. I remember just always feeling like I need to be someone else, or I need to be, I don't know, better or smarter or whiter or, more intelligent, or I don't know, like always something different basically. But I feel like I did a lot of work on myself, and I also did a coaching with Josh, with Renee, who's the founder of Planet Organic. She's incredible. She's also an incredible woman. And we did this coaching with her, and she sort of looked at all the beliefs that we were holding about ourselves and how they sort of impact our life. And through that, I really realized all the negative beliefs I had, and we turned them around. And really at the core of it was really that you are enough. And I feel like that's just a nice thing to know. And I feel like I want to pass that on to my kids already now, just thinking that you don't have to change. You don't have to be anything that you're not. You are perfect the way you are.
Amazing way to end this, I think. Thank you.
You are fabulous, and thank you for coming on.
Well, thanks so much for having me.